It's time to have a real convo, a show that brings hope and awareness to those affected by suicide and mental health. Being affected by both, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Southeast Florida board member Alan Mednick and children's book author Miranda Khan breaks the stigma that no one ever feels alone. With the help from influential guests, the Real Convo starts now.
All right, let's do it.
You're ready, Miranda?
I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Let's rock.
Okay, so Miranda Khan, are you there?
I am.
Cool. Well, remember I was talking earlier today, I wasn't feeling so good?
Yeah? What's going on?
Okay. So my wife came home and she started deciding, obviously she's a nurse. She's like, okay, what kind of medication? Tell me all this stuff. I said, I don't need medication. We're here at RealConvo, and guess what the best medication is?
Laughter.
There you go.
Right there.
That's what we're going to be talking about today.
That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be laughing about it today, actually. You like that?
We are. And you know what? Laughter and comedy cures a lot of things.
It really does. I mean, I think people know that naturally. They've all heard the expression, laughter is the best medicine, but it really is. And here to help us out, give us a little comedic relief, are our guest. We have three comedians joining us today. We have Schulz that you can see right there. Give a wave, Flip.
Hello, everyone.
Flip does stand-up. He also has an alter ego. We're going to talk to him more about that. Also joining him is his buddy. At least we think it's his buddy. I don't know. We'll find out. Michael Panzeca will explain why that is. He actually has been doing improv comedy for decades now, and also teaches us, and teaches students rather, how to do improv comedy. He might give us a couple exercises maybe that we can do. Yeah, nodding his head.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Are you awake there?
Yeah. I was just listening to you.
Okay, okay. Also joining us is Aaron Shore. You there, Aaron?
Actually, I don't see Aaron here right now.
I don't see Aaron.
No.
Okay,
He might be laughing too hard that knocked him off.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Well, hopefully we have Aaron Shore joining us as well. He also does improv comedy. But let's go ahead and start with you, Michael Panzeca,
Yes.
if we may.
Sure.
You were involved in so many things, but I want to just we had this great conversation the other day, and I just love your personal story and what led you to comedy, because, obviously the show is about mental health and making it a real conversation. And that kind of led you to be this improv comedic instructor. So have us go back when you were like a little kid, if you will, and just kind of briefly give us the story.
All right. Hold on a second. No.
And how did that make you feel?
Wow, she went right to the little kid thing.
Hey, there's a couch there in the back. I think you maybe have to go back there and lie on it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I know what I remember. I realized this looking back after I became a comedian, that one of the things I used to do, I started school early, so I was the smallest kid. I got picked on a lot, and I got beat up a lot on the playground. I know people find that hard to believe now. I don't know why, but
well, somehow that made your friend leave, but he'll come back. Maybe he's just heard the story before.
Flip's like, I can't hear this again.
I can't. I'm getting out of there.
Oh, no, so sad, Michael.
Flip's like, I can't hear this again. Anyway.
You know what? On a positive note, Aaron was able to join us, so now he gets to
Good. Aaron's back.
Okay.
But anyway, and looking back, I noticed I used to make comments from the back of the bus. I remember driving up in the school bus, and I was in the back, and we would pull up to this sign, and it said, just say no to drugs. And I knew everyone was looking at the sign, so I waited for a moment to say something, and I went, you know what? If you're talking to drugs, it's too late. And then everybody on the bus started laughing. So I would like to be in meetings and classrooms, and I would like to interject things at the right times. And I also noticed that if you make people laugh, they don't beat you up. And that girls like comedy and girls like to laugh. So I was in a couple of plays. Actually, in 7th grade, my teacher suggested I be in this play. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and I had to mime the part of the father. And my only line was to laugh. And I was behind the chair, and she says, and I laughed when I saw him, and I couldn't get the laugh to come. And finally, I got the laugh to come, and it was this wild, psychotic laugh. And I remember the audience laughing straight for like 30 seconds. I remember the feeling I got when I heard them laughing, and I got hooked, I think, at that moment.
Yeah.
And then later on, I started to, actually a good friend of mine when I was in college, Tom Agnew, was doing comedy, and I used to live with him and watch him. He went on to become a writer for Conan and Chris Rock and all these guys. I never thought about being a comedian. And I just, as a therapist and being in a counseling situation, I always was interested in other things like the arts. So I was in some plays. I was in Tony Maria's wedding. I did plays for kids about all kinds of different stuff. And then I joined an improv troupe, or I studied improv, where I learned how to, just improvise.
But it was actually not, just to backtrack a little bit, though.
Sure, yeah.
You had some demons, if you will, that you were battling.
You want to get to the good stuff. Okay.
Because that kind of led...
You're not going to make me cry, Miranda. You're not going to make me cry, Miranda. Anyway.
You won't cry.
No, the issue's growing
like
up.
A Barbara Walters special.
You're not going to make me cry. I'll put a cutout Panzeca right here. Anyway.
There you go.
My parents divorced and split up. My dad left when I was very young. I got into drugs and alcohol when I was a teenager, got into a lot of trouble. And because of that, got some help, became a counselor after that. And while doing counseling, I was always interested in the arts. And so I incorporated, I started studying improv, and then got into some plays, and then started doing stand-up, and that's how I got into it. But
yeah,
I also I just did it with I did an online thing with my adolescents last night.
Yeah.
I came up with an improv game. We played it online. I had 10 kids online on Zoom playing this game with me. And it was amazing to just watch these guys come out of their shells, and they're all bummed out and depressed, but they were all happy and having fun by the end of it. So, I love it. I think comedy comes from pain, and Aaron and Flip might, but comedy comes from pain.
Yeah.
Well, there is a saying that comedy is a way of making sense out of life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you even look at today. I mean, when we're going through the coronavirus right now, what's the one thing that none of the stores had? Toilet paper.
Right.
How could you make jokes out of toilet paper? But we did with the coronavirus. You may have had something that was not a good situation, but the first thing you do is make jokes.
Right.
I
think Woody Allen, was it Woody Allen that said that comedy is tragedy plus time?
No, I think Woody Allen said, "I love my wife's daughter."
Well
Too soon?
Well
Too soon?
played.
Oh, we didn't know we were going to get Skippy Green today. We're getting Skippy
No,
Not quite.
actually, I have looked at. We will talk about Skippy Green, but for our purposes today, we probably won't bring him into this unless he can do something PG-13. But
I don't think it's possible.
Our audience is going to be like,
Actually,
what?
I do want to ask you a question, Michael, if that's okay.
Sure.
You have a social worker or what are you?
Certified Addictions Professional, CAP.
Okay.
When I was in college, I started working in the field, and I was doing stuff that people were doing before I ever finished school. So I was already doing it under people's licenses.
All right. So because it's something of psychology that you do. So I want to ask you this question. What is it about comedy that it's okay to talk about situations that, if me and you were just talking about it, whether it's, racial, whether politics, whatever it is, me and you talking about it's not okay, but you could throw comedy into it, and all of a sudden it brightens everybody up. And it makes everybody feel good.
Couple of things. First of all, animals do it too. When they play, when animals play, they laugh. It's how they let the other animal know that they're playing and they're not really fighting. So laughter and comedy is a way that people let other people know that they're not trying to hurt anybody. Plus, even when you're doing comedy, whoever you're talking to, whether it's an audience or an individual, know what you have in your heart. It's just they'll intuitively know. And the oxytocin that the brain releases when you make people laugh helps.
Yeah.
It's a drug. So people are getting high from it, and it feels good. Serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. So people are getting high from it. I think people know what's in your heart when you're talking. And if somebody breaks up with their wife or girlfriend, or whatever, and they talk about it on stage and they're not over it, they shouldn't be talking about it, because it's just going to sound like they're just ranting about that. But once you're over something and then you talk about it, it can be funny, I think.
Which ties right into Flip there. You kind of know what that's all about, right? right, Flip? You've talked about your divorce through your stand-up. And I do want to go to Aaron, too, talking about anxiety and depression and whatnot. But since that kind of set us up, Flip.
Sure.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Take it away, Flip.
There you go.
Here I are. I think Michael is absolutely right. Although I would say that, because when I was going through my divorce, I would go on stage and, I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't over the divorce. It was, it's a process, but I needed to talk about it while going through the process. It was, I forgot who said it, but comedy isn't therapy, it's therapeutic. And when I was going through my divorce, I would write jokes that, in hindsight, I realized were a little too raw to bring to the stage, but working through that and still getting laughs, because I wouldn't go on stage and just rant. I had as comics know, you have an end point, a punchline that you want to get to. So even going through it in a raw sense, I still would get laughs, and it would still heal me in that way. Because comedy is, I mean, for people like Michael and Aaron and myself, it is healing. It's something that is just inherent in us, that it heals us and it heals an audience, and it's a symbiotic relationship.
And that's kind of how you got involved in it, Aaron. Aaron and I have kind of crossed paths.
That's all I get? Wait. Michael gets like 10 minutes to rant and rave about all that, and I get like a 2-minute raw comedy pity party?
Wow. We're going to go back.
A minute and 25.
I talked about my childhood, bro. Come on.
You went there.
I'm totally kidding.
I know.
I do want to bring Aaron into the conversation because I know, bringing Michael back into it as well, you talked about anxiety and depression, and you've helped some adolescents with that. And I know Aaron and I have crossed paths here in South Florida. He's now in Georgia through the film industry. But you were very candid with me about how you've battled with depression and anxiety and what kind of led you into doing improv comedy. So if you could kind of just share that with the rest of the group and the viewers watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I moved to Atlanta from South Florida back in August of 2014, and dealt with like depression, anxiety, but it wasn't, big for me. But I think once I left Florida and came to Atlanta, it just started to amplify. I think just the anxiety of like in a whole new world, you got to just start from scratch again. Because when I was in Florida, I went to school down there and couldn't really afford a good living situation. So I was actually rooming at my grandparents' house in Delray. And
same here.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Everyone.
Well, that's where I am right now.
Everyone
right?
now.
Flip's
right?
living with his parents.
In my parents' house right now, yeah.
Here's some irony for you. My parents, who were working out of the country for a few years, came back and bought my grandparents' house.
Wow.
My bedroom is now my dad's office, which is
I'm literally in my parents' office, which was my old bedroom.
There you go.
By the way, is your mom there? Because I was watching that video that she was laughing and couldn't stop.
They're downstairs, yeah. Captive audience.
Sorry, Aaron. We digress.
I apologize.
Go ahead. You were saying what kind of led you? That you were doing in a very new situation, and it was kind of scary a little bit.
Yeah. It got bad to a point where I started to drink more, and it was starting to affect just, tale as old as time for anybody who would drink excessively. It's just, you get depressed, you get sad, you get you go out and just go on a bender if you feel like it, and then next thing you know, you wake up in your car the next morning sleeping right side up, and you're just like have the worst like neck pain ever. Those are like all the telltale signs that you might have a problem. So when I was visiting my brothers, it was December 2016. I was visiting my brothers in Spokane, Washington, and we were trying to make a short film, and brothers clash, relationships can be friction, and drinking can just, make you sound like an idiot. So during that time, I had a friend I was hanging out with, and she took me to one of her improv shows here in Atlanta, down in Hateville. And she, I hung out with her enough and her friends, and then she said to me, like, you got this like quippiness with you, Aaron, like you would work well with improv, like you should try it. And I was like, I never really thought about doing improv, but I got it gifted to me as like a Christmas Hanukkah combo gift, and I started level 1 at the Village Theater here in Atlanta, and that was in January 2017. And as I started this new thing that I've never done before, I decided to take it upon myself to maybe do the whole sober January challenge. You don't drink anything for 30 days and see where that takes you. So I was doing that and starting improv. And after class, it's typical where people go to this bar around the corner from the theater called Augustine's. And I would go there with my classmates and everyone's drinking and I'm having like water. And they're looking at me like, what's up with you? I'm like, I'm just taking a month off from drinking. And we did our level 1 grad show after 8 weeks. And as soon as we had an audience, and as soon as we heard all those laughs, whether it's a scene that I'm in or a scene that my friends are in, like was said before, it's an addiction. And it hits you. It's like an epiphany. You're like, oh, I'm good at this. This is something I want to keep doing. So after level 1 became level 2, level 2
We might have to bleep
3.
that out a little bit, that little word, but go ahead, keep going.
No, that's okay.
Sorry about that.
This is reality.
This is reality, right?
Right.
Fudge, I'm really good at this. I did all the classes, and I got to audition a couple of years down the road, and I finally got pulled into the company. So now I'm with a group of people that I consider like a second family, and it's great. We just do the dumbest, silliest stuff on the stage, and I look forward to it every time. And since this quarantine, all I miss more than anything than going back to my job is going back to my improv friends and going back on the stage. We had one show we did before, like literally the night before the quarantine started. And I think it was one of our best shows. And we had an audience of, we were in the main stage and it typically holds 60 chairs. And we had to space everything out so it held 20 chairs. And it was like pairs of a chair here, a pair of a chair there, a pair. Yeah, so there's like open spaces in the auditorium. And we just made use of the entire space. And it was, seriously, it was a show like on any other, and it won't happen again because that's improv.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it's amazing what laughter can do. I'm just reading here online. It says laughter can relax the whole body. It boosts the immune system. It releases endorphins. It can protect the heart. It burns calories. There you go. You don't have to work out. We don't do the workouts anymore. We just laugh.
That's it. Mm-hmm. New video. That's what we're going to do, Alan.
Do comedy and you lose weight. Yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
It's amazing.
You heard it here first.
But I got to tell you, so laughter really has a lot. Comedy has a lot. I remember, and I don't know if you guys, Miranda told you my story. I lost my daughter 7.5 years ago to suicide. And I could remember after I lost her that, people would try to make me laugh and everything. And I really tried to I didn't want to laugh because I knew if I laughed, it would make me feel better. And when I finally got to the point that I could actually let myself laugh and have, people tell me jokes and laugh at it, it really did make me feel better. And it really helped me out of a hard time then. I mean, is that something that you guys have experienced too?
What about you, Flip? We'll go back to you.
I want to hear more from Flip.
Let's hear more from Flip. Look at that
as far
face.
As laughter making me... as far as laughter making me bring me out of a desperate situation or
I mean, again, you went through a divorce, tough time. I've been through a divorce. It's and then obviously the laughter could really bring you out it's in a tough situation.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. God, there's so many situations that I could think of. Just trying to nail one down, but yeah, when my ex-wife and I first split up, it was a very kind of tumultuous thing. And I actually remember I was working on a cruise ship, and that was the first time I ever said on stage that I'm getting a divorce. I probably a month went by where I'd perform and still talk about my wife like we were still married and still do the regular material. And there was something in me that was just going, I'm lying to myself, I'm lying to the audience, but I'm scared to open myself up like that because, once I say it on stage, it becomes real. And And I was, worried that there might be this, sympathetic vibe that you get from the audience when you open up like that. But once I said it and I had written a joke about it, this laughter hit me. And it was, I don't know any other way to explain it other than it was just breathing. It was a breath. It was like, okay, I exhaled the truth and received back the love that we get from an audience. And it was almost like an instant heal. It was almost like, okay, I'm going to make it through this because I still have my comedy, and I still have, I could still be a connection with the audience and still, again, receive that laughter. Because nothing is greater than just, even if you're not a comedian, if you tell a joke to somebody and they laugh, or you have a quick quip and they laugh, you get that instant, like, oh, this
I did that. You're right.
Connection.
Yeah, I was telling you the other day, that's what I tell people, Alan. I say my life is like, and you're wearing the cowboy hat, is like one big country song. Lost my job, lost my dog. Just keep it going. And my friend was like, you're sick. You're sick. And I'm like, look, if I don't laugh about everything that's happened in my life, I'm like, I'm the only person I could one up myself. Like, you thought it was bad? Just wait. We're going to throw in a little pandemic just to make things interesting. But I have to laugh about it, right? I mean, you guys can all relate to that, right?
Yeah. If you don't laugh, you're just going to drown in your own sorrow. And that's not a place to be.
So that's the best thing that we should be doing. You guys should be having your skits done, so when people wake up in the morning, they wake up to your skits and laugh, and they'll have a great day for the rest of the day.
Well, now they can, though, Alan, because they've all had to make little adjustments here, right? You've all are trying to go online, doing these Facebook, doing these Instagrams. We'll kind of go through the list. Go ahead, Michael.
Just along lines with Flip what he said, because I remember a girl broke up with me 5 minutes before I went on stage, and I remember thinking, how are you going to do comedy if you're not in a good mood? I was always fascinated, like, what if you're not, like when I did radio and stuff. So right before I went on stage, she's like, we're breaking up. I'm like, I can hear you fine. I don't understand. She goes, no, I'm breaking up with you. I was at Laughing. No, it's true. I was at Laughing Comedy Cafe, and I got introduced to go on stage 5 minutes after she broke up with me, and I had the best set I've ever had in my life. Mm-hmm. And that's when I realized it was because I needed the audience. I needed the laughter. I didn't have her. I was naked. I was raw. I went up there, and that's when I realized it didn't matter if you were in a bad mood. Actually, when I'm in a bad mood is when I have some of my best shows, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think when you're not so caught up in your head about your set lists and about what bit goes to what bit, and if you're just up there in the moment and maybe a little emotionally raw, connecting with the people,
connecting is the key.
You have breakthroughs as a comedian.
Yep.
I see Aaron nodding like, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
No, yeah, it's just, it's a little, I haven't suffered any like severe tragedies in my life.
Wait for it though. Just wait for it.
You
now
will.
You set yourself
you will.
up.
You're young yet.
Yeah.
Let's bring her in, Bob.
Come on.
But I mean, like, there are tragedies. I mean, like I lost an uncle last year, and but like I haven't had like a severe breakup in a while because I haven't dated anybody.
Wait for it.
I've experienced it.
You're just full of joy today, Miranda, aren't you?
It's a long sabbatical that I've been taking for this time now. But anyways, I was gonna say, like, with my anxiety, like I get major anxiety attacks sometimes, and just like it hits me out of nowhere. And like every Wednesday night when in the before 4 times, every Wednesday night we would have rehearsals at the theater, and like I had this like moment in the car, I started breaking down. I was like petrified. I was scared of the world. This is before any corona, anything. It was just another regular day, and I was freaking the fudge out.
There you go.
I was hoping it would stop when I got to the theater, and then it got worse, and it got way worse. And we're all in the lobby waiting to go into our separate areas in the theater to go rehearse with our group. And I had to like just stay outside and wait until they called it. And then as I went in, I was still not well, but I just kept quiet. And then as soon as we got on stage and started doing warm-ups, and then after we did the first like just 3-line scene, it all went away. For me, like improv comedy is like this, it is therapeutic, and it gets me through just all the minutia that life throws at you on a random given day. And sometimes it'll line up where I'm having a really bad day, but I got improv next to go to. That will be the medicine.
Aaron, I think what's great about improv, because Michael and I, we did improv together too, and improv, because when you're doing stand-up, you're up there kind of as yourself, exposing yourself in whatever way, the material kind of takes you. But when you're improv, it's great because you can lose yourself in these in these characters that you suddenly develop, in these situations, and these, exercises. So I'm not saying it's a distraction, but it's an escapism. And then
you regurgitate maybe some of the negativity into a scene, and then whoever you are within that scene, it's up to them to now take it into their direction. You're kind of following along, and you'll find something beautiful or something cathartic or tragic or just pure ironic, and it makes you feel something good and decent that you just need. And when there's more of that for a whole 45-50 minute long form show, you lose yourself, and it's
absolutely
great. It's such a great feeling.
And you heal the audience at the same time.
Yeah,
that's actually a point I wanted to get into, because you guys, to me, are, and you probably are, but you're an essential business. You're probably one of the most, besides nurses, medical, police, firemen, you're probably the most essential because you bring happiness to people. So what does it feel like when you get up on stage and you're doing that, and especially in a situation like this where you could actually, you bring hope to people through laughter? I don't know if Aaron's frozen or not.
Just did this improv jam here, and we would do it here at this new venue called Dynamic El Dorado. And then once the quarantine happened, people were kind of bummed that there's no more jam. So I took it upon myself to bring the jam back on Zoom. So now we do it every Wednesday at 9:15, and we have like a 20 performer cap. But like the last 3 weeks we've been doing this now, every time the show ends, everyone just says, Aaron, thank you for just doing this, because we're missing this stupid, silly goofiness that we were accustomed to. And the comedians, they need it. They need to perform. And this is a very weird time for us right now to perform. And I'm loving to see how everyone is getting just extra creative now. Like SNL last week did their entire show from home, and it was very inspiring to see them do exactly what everybody else in the comedy world is doing right now. Just because they're on SNL doesn't mean diddly. It's just that they are now confined just like we are, and have to make the best of it like we are. So. And
Michael, you can relate to that. I know all of you had to kind of adjust different things, and we'll go through some of the specifics towards the end of the show where people can find you. But Michael, you do a lot of classes. You do online, your website, you've been doing it on social media as well, just like Aaron is doing like some of his groups, right?
Right. Well, the first example that came to my mind was after September 11th. I had to do a show like the next day.
Oh.
And I used to teach comedy traffic school. It might have been a traffic school class. I don't know if it was a show or a traffic school class, but it was after September 11th. And I remember thinking, all right, how are we going to do this? And I just said to the audience, look, because everybody kept watching the images over and over and over again, traumatizing themselves over and over again. I said, we got to take a break from that and laugh for 30 minutes. I didn't even say like 4 hours, an hour, whatever. 30 minutes. We have to, you have to train your brain to take a break from whatever it is. Like, you step into the fire, you feel the grief and the pain, and then you got to step out of it. And then you got to go have some fun. You got to decompress. I teach my clients that when I end a group, I tell them to leave whatever it was that they were dealing with. They did good work, leave it here, come back tomorrow, we pick it up. But when you leave, you got to leave it here, because you don't want to walk around bleeding emotionally and vulnerable and hurting all day like that. And it's just like, it's funny. I just did a group today, and the clients were complaining because the counselor before me was telling them that this is not a time to laugh. This is a time to be serious. And that I think he was getting frustrated with the connection, because he was, but he was doing it on Zoom, but
because you do like this. So for our audience who may be not totally familiar with improv and some of these groups that you're talking about, like you work with companies, right? And
yeah, I just did one for Cisco, an international seminar with all his my cousin's sales team all over the world, and I was all nervous. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, because I do motivational stuff too. But he goes, just make them laugh for like an hour. It's a meeting. He met with all the sales staff from all over the world, and I did 2 of them. And by the end of the hour, we had all laughed and made fun of. One of the guys was actually positive with the virus, and we were laughing and having fun and whatever. And we just needed a break. It was just a break, It's very cathartic. Laughter is very cathartic, and it's a release. It's a good release. You're either going to cry or you're going to laugh. I say I comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Crying is good. Laughter is good. I mean, they're both very similar in the way that the physiology of it in the body and the mind, they're very similar.
Yeah. I've always thought that, Michael, that laughter and crying are, I think, the only 2 emotions, or at least physical responses to emotions, that cannot really be faked. As far as like the real laugh and a real cry, or something that has to. Well, and that comes from a true place.
I agree, and that's I don't want to get too adult. I'm not going to say anything adult, or R-rated, but it's an involuntary response. That if a person relaxes, they can have one, and if they don't have to fake it. Like if I tell my students, look, laughter is one of those things in the brain, okay? And if you're comfortable and relaxed, they're going to relax. And once they relax, they can do it. It's involuntary. It just happens. Crying, laughter, and the other thing I'm not saying.
And that's why all of his clients are females. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Go there. Sorry. I'm bad.
You need a good time. You want a good laugh. You call Michael Panzeca.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Aaron, I wanted to go back to something you said about anxiety and panic attacks. As all of you know, I lost my sister to suicide in May of 2016. And, that was one of the most traumatic things, if not the most traumatic thing that ever could have happened to me. And I've been through a lot. I'm kind of an expert about loss, but that was by far the worst. And I've never really gone through like severe anxiety, but I remember I was doing a live political show, mind you. And I literally had my sister's service on a Saturday, and I had to be back at work on Tuesday. And for the first time in my life, I started experiencing anxiety. I mean, like I didn't know what was going on. I was almost like shaking, and I've never had that experience. And I was, listening to some new statistics saying that anxiety medication has gone up like over 30% now, just in the last month due to COVID. And I am one of those, like, I try to avoid taking, and I'm not against medication, but I always try to find other alternatives. And that's why Alan and I wanted to do a show like this to show how comedy has helped you and how it's helping your audience, and that this might be a way that people can do that.
Yeah, well, if you go outside your comfort zone, the comfort zone just gets bigger. And if you going up on stage creates anxiety. Once you get through that, you've now mastered that feeling, or you've become comfortable with that feeling. So the next time you get anxious, you're not going to be as afraid of the feeling. You're going to know what it is. It's going to pass. But when it's new and you don't know what anxiety is, and you're feeling it, you think you're dying. You feel like you're dying.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to be able to do my job.
Right.
And I have been involved in broadcast journalism or doing anything on air forever. Right. And I thought, what if this never goes away?
Right. I still get nervous when I go up. I mean, I do a little ritual before I go on stage, but I get nervous before this thing today. Like, I get nervous.
Alan's very intimidating.
And then you saw me with the cowboy hat, right? That just did it.
I was nervous until I saw the cowboy hat, and then I wasn't nervous anymore.
My roommate was asking me, like, are you nervous about this interview? It's your first podcast. I'm like, how would you say that?
I wasn't, but now I am.
Great, now I'm nervous. No, I get nervous after.
I took a whole bunch of things.
Every
I took a whole bunch of anxiety medicine before I came on, so I felt great.
You feel great. That's right. You look more relaxed. Notice he's kind of more laid back in his chair.
I heard
wanna
my
ask
mom
you guys-
screaming in the background. Flip. Anyway,
I do want to ask you guys a question, but I just wanted to get an idea from you guys. Again, you hear a lot of comedians, they supposedly, I'm assuming they are talking about their own experience, and that's where they get their material from. I guess it's almost like songwriters, how they write songs about their personal experience. Is that a way that helps you guys relieve whatever you've been going through? Maybe like we were talking about before, some of the tough times, but do you guys purposely try to write stuff about your own life?
Who do you want to start with?
Flip. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's where you're good at, Miranda.
I will direct traffic and go. Flip, take it away.
I have the show. Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of ride the line because my comedy can be observational about things happening around me, but then it also becomes very biographical because and how we were saying before, it's kind of our way of getting through whatever situation we'll be getting through, whether it's my personal belief on politics or my experience in relationships or my experience in traveling, or just or just my my own demons that I have to work through.
Sing a contest.
You had to bring
to
that
this
back
day,
up.
Panzeca. To this day.
I have the trophy, right?
You still have the trophy.
Just go ahead and show it off, Michael. But you do
rub it in.
You do exercises, and you were talking earlier about leave the pain here, kind of doing it almost like a therapy. Is there like any kind of brief little exercise that you could kind of show us? Give us an example of like an improv exercise on how to deal.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do I do with the clients? And Flip's actually, I think, way more talented at improv than I am. I mean, I studied it. I was in the improv troupe, and I wasn't as brave as these guys are talented. So that's why I did stand up. I couldn't.
Yeah, but you got the trophy.
I just wanted to be myself. But
he does.
I'll tell you,
trophy.
I thought about this question long and hard because we talked about it, and I'll tell you one thing that I know would be very simple for a group of people to sit down and share and would make everyone laugh. Very simple off the bat.
Okay.
If everyone in that circle, one at a time, shared their most embarrassing moment in life, that would just make people laugh. If they share their most embarrassing moment, I don't know. I just know that would work if you think about it.
Okay, Alan, let's start with you. What's your most embarrassing moment?
God, I've had plenty, but I gotta think. I gotta really think about it. You caught me on the spot right now.
And then another one. I mean, that's something. And another one. What I did last night was I said, you guys are all experts on something. Okay, I told my students, you're all experts, my clients. And I go, what do you want to be experts on? And one kid said, purple rhinos or purple rhinos. I said, okay. You are all now doctors and experts on purple rhinos. I'm going to start a newscast. I'm going to be the host, and I'm going to ask you questions, and you have to know the answer. No matter what, you guys know the answer, and they just made stuff up off the top of their head, which was amazing. And we laughed, and we had fun. There's a ton of theater games that Flip probably knows better than I do, but they're games that you can play like that. Tag, freeze tag.
It's a bunch of fun things. Yeah.
Well,
and I know you offer some of that on your site. And Aaron, you actually had to be creative here with the whole coronavirus. You kind of came up with your own game. I want to make sure we get to this because I know Michael's been on pins and needles just wanting to hear about this. You started this thing called Bedtime Stories, and he's in need of a bedtime story.
I need it.
It just so happens I've written a little book. Maybe you've heard about it, and Aaron's actually going to be performing it. So
I'm not. I'm
not performing it, but you're reading it.
Liz will be performing. So what we're doing, it's called Aaron and Liz's Bedtime Stories, and we're doing it every Saturday at 8:00 live on Instagram. And you just have to follow either me or Liz or both. And the doors will open at 7:55, and we have like a little fireplace video and a sign that says 5 minutes till show. And basically what we do is every week we'll alternate. One will be the storyteller and the other will be the performer. And the improv comes in for the performer. They have no idea what story the storyteller will be reading until the moment comes when the show starts. It's making their visual performance completely improvised. So the storyteller will read and give dialogue, and the performer just gives the visual, aspect of it all, however they can. And it's really fun. It was just a random thing that came up out of nowhere. I was FaceTiming my friend Liz, and she was telling me about this short story by Hans Christian Andersen that she read, that she dug, called The Tinderbox. And I was like, read it to me. And as she was reading it to me, I was like kind of like goofing off and performing all the weird, silly things that were happening in that story. And then it just hit me like, this could be a show. Let's do this. Let's do this for real. And for friends next Saturday. So we did that story again. I performed it. And then the following week, I did a story by the Brothers Grimm. And then last Saturday, Liz, she chose a story that was also by the Brothers Grimm. And in that week, I reconnected with Miranda. And she had the idea of pitching us to do The Blossoms of Floorland in our next bedtime story show. And that's really what we want as well in our new shows. We want people to submit either, short stories that they've written or like a children's book that they love, whatever, like something, and we'll read it and perform it every Saturday at 8:00.
But it kind of gives people too, going back to some of the exercises Michael was talking about, it kind of gives, people can learn these kind of exercises that they can do at home, right? Or via Zoom with anybody. Like, it's great. They can watch you do it, but they could also do that with a friend, right? Right, Flip? Anybody
you got to have fun and be like a kid and play. Go ahead, Flip.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not running the show. My bad.
No, you're doing great.
Go ahead, Flip.
No, you have to have fun.
Give him one trophy and look what happens. He gets one trophy.
I know. What a swell head. One trophy, Mike, that you got 20 years ago that I'm still like, there was a whaling porpoise, wasn't it?
It was a gay private club.
Oh my God. We're not going to go there.
I'll just tell you this. Michael was hilarious back then, but because he did something brilliant. He had all this relationship material, but changed it to, instead of so I'm with my girlfriend, it was so I'm with my boyfriend, and just he knew his crowd.
Me. I was talking about normal heterosexual relationships, and they started booing me. So I came out of the closet, and I won the contest. That's what I did.
Yes, goes to show. I'd like to, by the way, take this time to announce that I'm going to be a transgender.
2020, you can do whatever you want now. Be who you want to be. Do what you want to do. It's your
be who you want to be. The Addams Family. No, as far as what you were saying is about just having fun, especially in times like these. Because what Aaron's doing is very sounds like a very fun, creative way and a different way to be funny and to express a kind of creativity. And the thing that I've been doing, I started doing it last week just on a lark, and I'm doing one again tonight actually. Although when this airs, it'll be a couple days ago. Because I as a comedian, I have literally 50. I have a notebook about this thick with all of my jokes written out. Michael's seen it. And I have a section called ideas, which are premises or jokes that I've never tried on stage. I just either didn't think they were funny or didn't have confidence in it.
Yeah.
And so what I've been doing is basically performing them for my parents in their living room. I'm calling it Live from the Living Room. And basically my parents have a list of all of these jokes, and they just randomly pick one. And I go through them and I perform them. And I don't know how sometimes I've even forgot that I'd written a joke like this, but I do it. And it's been fun. Just even if it's my parents, the fact that they're genuinely laughing, I'm getting that, that fix again. As we said, laughter is an addictive drug, and I'm getting that fix again just from that. And then people are watching it and they're commenting and they're enjoying it. And it's an escape. It's escapism for everybody involved. And at the end of it, we just feel a little lighter.
Yeah, and it's really good that it's really needed out there. Obviously, you doing this and the people that are watching it, but let me ask you, you said laughter is basically contagious. Obviously, you have your mom, and she's a great audience. I love her.
Unless you wear a mask, and then you protect yourself.
But how hard is it to do your skit without people out there and without hearing the laughter, basically? It's got to be difficult.
It is.
It is, yeah.
I mean, with the jam that I do, we have, the cap is 20 people. So there's 4 groups broken up into 5. So we do the hide non-video participants feature here on Zoom. So when everyone turns their cameras off, all we see is just the group performing their 15-minute set. And we can still hear each other laughing at the show. So it's not, we do miss being inside a room hearing live laughter, but the fact that we're still hearing laughter, it's something. And it's an adjustment, but it's still, you're hearing the laughter. And we're doing things now that are just, we're trying to stretch our creative muscles with the confinement of Zoom. Like we did a scene literally where we were rats and we were like literally trapped inside this little box right here. Like we're inside this box. How do we get, like, we have to make use of Zoom sometimes. And like we do the little pass here's your thing right there. Why don't you take that? And the other person's like, oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to see when this thing is all over and you guys go back up on stage, but someone does a skit like they're on Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll happen for sure.
I just thought of one that's real quick. Everybody could do, and I did it with a friend on a regular basis. If you're watching television, turn down the volume, and one person could be one character, another person could be another character, and whenever that person pops up, you say things that you want that person to say, but they're not really saying that. Like I used to do one about Larry King, where all he was talking about was his nose because it was so huge. So I did this thing about everything he said was about his nose. It was just ridiculously funny. So it's just about having fun and playing. I think frustration too. Like I think ranting is very good. Like if you're mad or frustrated with what's going on, I think you should just rant. Like let it go. Like when my students take my class,
I don't think I've ever heard a man say that, especially to a woman. But I'm glad you said that.
No,
I'm going to use that.
I tell
for us, just rant away.
When my students get on stage and they talk about something very frustrating and they're talking about it and I go, well, how do you feel about that? They go, frustrated. I go, well, why don't you sound frustrated? Like let yourself sound frustrated. So I think ranting and just venting and just go into it. You gotta have a safe place. You gotta know who to do it with too. The people have to be willing participants. Right. But I mean, you could just one up each other, like on how frustrated you are, But
I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on this too, because I always think that if you can make fun of yourself, then if other people are making fun of you, it doesn't bother you as much. Is that something?
You don't take
it as
seriously. And if you're going to make fun of other people, you better be able to make fun of yourself first, or you're going to come off as a bully. You know what I mean? Like, if like comedians that get away with that are also self-deprecating. So they put down other people, but they're self-deprecating. So they put themselves in the mix. So yeah, I agree with that.
There was this, the last live show I did before the quarantine, we did a scene where someone walks in and addresses one character as a real person from our theater that we know. And then I walk in and I'm actually a person from the theater. I'm like, this guy whose name is Hoover. He's a huge fan of anime. I'm like, hi, I'm Hoover and anime is my thing. I'm going to go hang out in the corner over here. And then another actor walks in. They're like, look at me. I'm Aaron. Movie references. This is all like movies. Like everyone's like picking on everybody's like classic trope of the person that they know. And then finally, after like the last person on the stage walks up, she's like, I'm an audience member and I'm totally lost by these references. And then the scene just like ends there. The audience like laughed the hell out of that one because they're like, yes, because we don't get these references, but at the same time, like we got to address it and have fun with it. So, and yeah, like at the end of the show, when we go back to the green room, like everyone was like apologizing to one another. But like, I'm so sorry I made fun of your tropes.
Oh, but I'm a big fan of self-deprecating humor. I think it's wonderful. We've kept you way over your time, but I wanted to just kind of, you guys have so many different things going on. And we did get a list of all those, but for people who are only going to be hearing this and not actually seeing this podcast, why don't we just start with you, Michael, because I know you have multiple ways that people can contact you. So why don't you just list a few of those?
MichaelPanzeca.com and then Panzeca Comedy on Facebook and Mikey Comic on Instagram or Stand Up Guy 2020. I just want to give a shout out to Flip for that virtual background called my parents' office. It's awesome, dude. It's amazing.
I really believe
realistic.
it. Very.
It's very realistic.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
So
Definitely.
yeah, on Facebook, Panzeca Comedy or michaelpanzeca.com.
Okay, great. And you Flip, take it away.
Me Flip, you Miranda, tall tree.
That's right. You take it away. How do you say?
You can find. How do you say? You can find me on the interweb at. You can find me at. I'm at a very, very specific place on the interweb. It's a wonderful, wonderful.
Oh,
place.
this sounds amazing.
It's so amazing. It'll blow your fudging mind.
I'm
at. Flipisfunny.com is my website, and then all my social media links are there. It's just basically Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Flip Schultz, SCHULTZ, and I have a Pandora page where you can find me, and my CDs are available on iTunes. I have like 8 or 9 of them available right now on iTunes and Amazon.
That's
Okay,
hysterical.
And every little bit helps an artist. So if you can subscribe to my Pandora page or download a CD, you're helping out the arts.
Yes, we're also helping out your parents so you can eventually move out
Yeah.
as well.
Wait. I just want to get this straight. I don't live with my parents. I still I have my place in LA. I just flew here.
Okay.
Whatever
I just flew here
helps
to be with my
you sleep.
family during all
Yeah, but you
this.
just wanted the home cooking.
Yeah, you're supposed to go to your.
That helps.
I don't remember them telling us to go to our elderly parents' houses to visit. I don't remember that part, but anyway, it's okay.
Well, the other option was to be by myself in Los Angeles during all this. So if there's one thing that a pandemic does, it brings, makes you appreciate family a little more.
It does. It definitely does. Aaron, you've got a couple different groups going on. You have a Wednesday thing, and then you've got
things. I got so many things.
You're like such a big deal.
I'm so popular. You have no idea how popular.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I could tell you stories. So Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Instagram. My handle is Double AA Productions, which would be PROD. Double AA PROD. We start at 8 o'clock, and it's going to be a story. We're going to be doing The Blossoms of Floraland, but don't tell Liz that. And then every Wednesday at 9:15, I host the Mining for Gold Jam. If you would like to perform in that jam, go to our Facebook page, Facebook.com/Golden Improv Jam. And every Thursday, the event page will be posted for the following week's upcoming jam. And our cap is 20 people. The theater I'm with, Village Theater here in Atlanta, we're launching Village Theater Television on Twitch this Saturday night at 7 o'clock. So you can go there, twitch.tv/VTTVATL. It's a lot of T's.
Yes.
And I just launched a new show series I'm about to put together called A Secret Midnight Improv Show, where we're going to just do a 15-minute improv set at midnight on a random given night. And if you want to check that out, go to facebook.com/secret12improv. So
all right.
That's what I got going on.
Some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Michael, you might have to pass your trophy over to Aaron.
Or Michael, you can just come and perform with me if you want. If you want to be in the secret show.
It'd be awesome.
I think it's great. Guys, thank you so much for making us laugh and just sharing your personal stories. That's that is our goal here on RealConvo, is to have real conversations, to make talking about mental health struggles seem very natural, just like anything else. And so I really do appreciate your candor in all of this. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Thank you guys for your time. And again, we just want to let everybody know that, look, we talk about a lot of things, Miranda, right? We talk about getting out there, making sure that you're exercising, making sure that, you're doing everything to try and normalize your life as much as possible during this time. But again, one of the most important things is laughter. And I want to thank you guys for bringing a little bit of laughter to this. And I think everybody should get out there and go to their websites, buy their CDs, and it's going to make your life a lot better. So we'll get through this. And remember, everybody, you matter. So thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for making a difference. Appreciate it.
You too.
And one day I'll have a trophy.
You all get trophies. You all get participation trophies.
Oh, yeah.
One day I'll get a CD player.
You should get participation trophies.
Oh, thank you guys. Enjoy your week.
And that's a Real Convo, bringing hope and awareness to those affected by suicide and mental health.